Hi, everyone, and welcome to Youth Amplified,
a podcast that inspires, empowers, and connects. I'm Brian.
And I'm Ronna. And in the spotlight today, not just talk, blueprints for a better future.
Now, we've traveled to Newcastle today and are delighted to be joined around the table by Peter, Shaaru, Mehdi, and diversity and inclusion changemaker, Turkan.
And it's so awesome that it is the Newcastle locals, Peter and Mehdi, who have actually taken the lead in organising everything and making this happen.
Absolutely, Ronna. We've got a great panel here, so let's get right in.
So, Peter,
Yes.
you first.
Of course.
What's one thing in your community you'd redesign tomorrow if you were truly in the driver's seat?
I'd say one thing that's really important in Newcastle is volunteer or leadership opportunities for the youth. As like Newcastle, it's a very short to regional place. Most of the things here are just for university. Something I'd like to see change is outside of university, more volunteer opportunities that can be committed now.
I think one thing that I would change is to spread more awareness for education.
Sticking with you and sticking with that thought, what then is a better future look like to you?
I think a better future would look like where people are more educated and aware of the opportunities. That would be a better future for the youth.
Great stuff. Now, Shaaru, over to you.
Yeah.
What kind of leaders do we need now, and who inspires you?
I think something that we need in leaders is someone who is ambitious but driven by values. Someone who is ambitious can put themselves out there, make those decisions that people are afraid to do. However, sticking to those values, understanding where they came from, understanding their own story, and applying those sort of values into their everyday work is what inspires people to create change and can bring the society forward.
I'd like to add something to that.
Yes.
Wonderful answer, Shaaru. As a student leader myself, one thing that I really focus on and consider a good leader is somebody who makes change. If there was one synonym to the word leader that I would like to keep, it would be a changemaker. There's an old quote that I really like and I live by. The $1 million ideas are in the grave. What I mean by that is most people have great ideas, but they don't act on them. I think a good leader would be a leader who has great ideas, which is easy to have. What's hard to do is implement them. That would be a good leader for me.
Excellent.
Yeah. But Turkan, over to you. What role do you think creativity and the arts should play in designing our future?
The arts play a vital role. I'm a Turkic person myself. The arts is not just for aesthetics, it's cultural practices. I love that we utilize our music, our storytelling, our dances. They hone in on stories that we want to pass on, stories we want to share around resilience, our experiences, our history. As a Turkic person living in Australia, that's not easy to do, to incorporate our arts into our cultural practices, because arts in this Western world is very much, do you play an instrument? Can you sing? It's very performative,
yes.
Right? And it comes from a very Western lens, and I'm very mindful about those kind of practices. I've been lucky enough to be able to support the 4E Hip Hop Festival from inception back 11 years ago it started. And today, it's a huge festival that takes place that is now partnering up with the Powerhouse Museum, Blacktown Council, Blacktown Arts Centre. And this small little festival that started 11 years ago at Bankstown is expanding itself, and in such a beautiful way where diverse voices, diverse talent is demonstrated and celebrated in such a unique way. So arts play a very big role in our future.
No, because what do you all think? Are we losing, or have we lost the whole thing of storytelling, or are we reviving it? What's your views on it?
Me personally, I think I wouldn't say removing or restoring. I'd say it's just changing in a different direction. It's kind of like the best way I can explain it is with memes. Like memes back in 2007 would be different to the ones like you ever hear like the 6-7 meme or like Hot to like jokes and stuff like that change over time, and that's how storytelling will always be. For example, with like Dreamtime storytelling, a lot of it was told through interpretive dance, some singing, all that. Nowadays, we have movies, we have films, we have video games, which is another form of storytelling. So I feel like it's just changing to a new medium.
If I can add,
Yeah.
there's definitely a reclaiming happening.
Yeah.
When you look at First Nations artists who are the most oldest living, culture in the world, their storytelling is next level. And to see First Nations artists, people like Dobby, people like Barker,
Yes.
reclaiming their storytelling processes in very high industry spaces is wonderful to see that play out. I know when I see First Nations artists, it encourages myself, my Turkish community to be able to say, hey, it's okay, our stories are important, our stories should be told. And they're reclaiming a lot of that. If you look at hip hop, for example, you've got some amazing artists coming out of the Philippines, coming out of India. It's so wonderful to see these amazing voices with their stories, with their narrative, with their perspective valued. And I think there's a power in the way we value our stories.
Yeah, incredible. Thank you, Turkan. Now, Mehdi, over to you. What's the biggest barrier stopping young people from leading change, do you think?
Many people I know who are extremely talented, extremely creative, there's one thing that they lack, it's confidence. A lot of the times, young people are scared to admit what they believe. They are scared to voice their opinions. They are scared to raise their voices because they want to comply with the rules, with the laws, with custom norms. They're very scared to challenge it. The biggest barrier would be people who don't raise their voices at the right time.
So I think another barrier which we have specifically in Newcastle is a lack of opportunity. So put your voice out there. As it is a regional area, we are quite limited in our resources. For example, we only really have 1 or 2 news places here. Meanwhile, in Sydney, there's like 5 or 6. And so even if they do have that desire and will to put themselves out there, just the lack of opportunities and the amount of money and funding put into those opportunities is quite limited.
How do you think Turkan communities can better include young people in decision making? Just to follow from that answer.
I think this is a really good example. Give them the mic. I don't think young people should be left in the corner. I think the mic should be given to them, the light should be shown, and anybody else around them should be supporting them and moving anything that's a barrier out of their way. I see young people as our now leaders, not our emerging leaders. They're leaders right now. The fact that I'm sitting down with these incredible people right now, being able to listen to their narratives, listen to their perspectives, they're going to impact my work today. I'll be taking what I've heard today into my spaces and echoing those because your voices matter. It's going to shape the way and spaces that you're going to be a part of. And this is all where it all starts, is giving them the opportunity and amplifying their incredible, unique voices.
It's good tech.
What game-changing idea would you pitch to make your community more impactful and hopeful?
Well, I wouldn't call it game changing, as some places already establish it, but from a business perspective, I'd say just improving diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Turkan, if the future had a snack table, what food absolutely has to be on it for humanity to thrive?
That's such a good question.
I would put tea. Tea plays a very big role in a lot of our cultures. We come and serve tea when we welcome people. We use tea for healing purposes. We use tea for ceremonial purposes. And I think that tea has such a connecting element to us. I think the origins of how we utilize tea is really, really sacred. I think that, going back to some of the sacred roots of why we have things like tea, it really brings us into position about where we are, how we feed, how we support one another, how do we listen to one another. I think it's just a wonderful, beverage to have.
And adding on to that, tea is almost like a beautiful metaphor of like how every culture has a very similar underlying tone. They're all tea at the end, but every single culture has a little flavor to add. For example, I'm Sri Lankan. We love our Dilma tea. We love our black tea.
Yes.
It's Indian. They love to add some spice in and bam, you have some chai.
Arab people
chai.
call tea kahwa, which is essentially black tea, but a special form.
Yeah, and so every culture has the underlying love of tea, but the way that they show their love, show their appreciation is slightly different.
Just maybe Peter has something to say. If there was one food item you'd put on the table,
I mean, personally, I had a more utilitarian thing, which is like a burrito bowl.
okay.
How I see it, like a burrito bowl feels like all of your daily requirements of like nutrients. It has vegetables, it has protein, it has grains.
Yeah.
So it has everything that you need for that. But I like the tea metaphor more. You know, it's more empowering about like.
You still have the burrito bowl though.
Love me some G.
I mean, if you could replace, all boring public speeches with one fun activity, what would everyone be sort of forced to do?
Dance battle.
Rap battle for votes.
I love that. That was so good.
I think a lot of public speakers and politicians do not show their true personality. Something fun would be nice. Something that connects them. Rap battle is one example.
Yeah.
But we could make them. There's a very new thing that even the Australian Prime Minister is doing these days. TikTok dances.
Oh, yeah.
That is something that every single politician leader is trying to do. Engage with the youth. I think it's suiting them. It's benefiting them a lot. What it's really doing is making the young people think that this is someone who is part of the trend. So he must be cool.
Alrighty, Peter.
Of course, yes.
What's one thing in your everyday environment that makes life here more livable and inspiring?
Well, I'd say for Newcastle, definitely the sunrise and the sunset.
Yeah.
Like we have beautiful views, beautiful beaches, beautiful landscapes and all that. So seeing the sunrise and the sunset, it's one of the most beautiful things to see here. Me and my friends used to always just wake up early to go to the beach or go to some random scenic road where we could just watch a sunset, and it's very cool in here.
Great.
Beautiful. Now, Shaaru, what kinds of spaces do you think help young people feel safe, seen, and supported?
I feel like an issue which we have in Newcastle is the lack of third spaces, which pressures a lot of people to feel the need to attend festivals and go clubbing and stuff like that. Just because otherwise it's quite difficult to make any friends here. So
Now, Peter, what are the gaps? What's missing for young people in terms of livable spaces, opportunities, or experiences?
Well, I would say for Newcastle at least, every opportunity is centered around the university. Once uni is finished here, Newcastle's pretty much like a dead city. There's not much experience, opportunities, or fun to do. When all the uni students are gone, a lot of places are kind of empty. So something that we need is just more stuff outside the uni. My sister, before she attended university, she wasn't able to meet friends or meet more people anywhere else. She'd just get to work, get back home, sleep, same day every day. And so I feel like for her, to have more opportunities for youth outside of university in Newcastle would make Newcastle much more livable.
In just continuing from that, maybe I'll ask you first, and then I really want to hear the echo from the others, is what do you think draws young people to stay in regional cities, or what pushes them out?
I would say it's the work-life balance. Regional cities do not have traffic. Regional cities are better for chilling out, having a retirement place, for example. Retirement places, there's no job opportunities, not much. There's a lot more peace there. Whereas people who are quite ambitious tend to move outside into big cities because they want to hustle and grow a lot.
I would like to add to that point. I originally grew up in Western Sydney, and so I definitely know the hustle and bustle life. But when I came here, one of the main things that I realized is there's more of an emphasis on finding yourself, finding your individuality, and using that to create some sort of change in the environment. So just being able to find yourself is something which I find is more accepted here, in saying that there is much less opportunities. So for example, if you're into arcade or something like that, you quite often have to go down to Sydney in order to get that opportunity. Or quite a lot of my friends, when they have an internship, they have to apply for Sydney jobs because there just aren't very many opportunities like for jobs here. So, yeah.
Now, moving on to Turkan, what jobs do you think, or industries or pathways, would make the region feel more full of opportunity?
I came from Western Sydney as well because of the beaches. I think that was attraction to come into these areas, one of the beaches. When you look at the employment stats and what industries are growing, you are looking at, age, disability, hospitality, healthcare, childcare. They're the industries that are in need at the moment. How do we attract young people into those industries?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that, when they think about, what kind of qualifications I want to get and what kind of job opportunities I want to jump into, are these going to be a part of their selections, or is it all going to be digital, IT, high tech? Or can we do both of them? Can we do high tech and, aged care, childcare?
Yeah.
So it's really an opportunity to have those conversations, because the industries that are growing are needing people, but the people can also shape the industries that they're going into. And I think that's something that we want to make sure that young people understand the opportunities, that they are part of creating those opportunities. So I really encourage them to think broadly about their job opportunities, to see regional areas as a space to thrive, because you're not going to have the same competition as you are in Bankstown or Fairfield or City of Sydney.
Really, what's one message that you would want decision makers in Newcastle to hear from young people today?
Decisions should be more focused. Surveys should be done from young people, by young people. The most active people in this economy in Australia are people aged from 20 to 40. And so basing all decisions for the majority of the population will be a good decision. I think a lot of the times the problem that we see is decisions, what the youth wants. The youth has a problem, the solution is solving a problem that doesn't exist. To avoid that, the problem that the youth raises should be solved.
Again, I'm a Turkish person, and our young people are really intertwined in the way our family connections are. So when I think about politicians engaging with young people, I always say diversify your pathways.
Yes.
Not everybody has the same pathway. You can't just put a link on your page saying, we want you to be part of our advisory committee, go apply. And whoever can put that application through in the most articulated way and can demonstrate some of their assets. And mind you, I'm a Turkish person. It's shameful to talk about yourself with pride.
Yes.
It's shameful to articulate that. So it's really important for, decision makers to go through several pathways. I'm going to opt into many pathways to make sure that you have the right voices at the table. You can't have the same voices at the table. You're just going to get the same responses over and over again. Intersectionality needs to be a part of how we engage with everybody, and particularly with people from diverse backgrounds. Intergenerational conversations need to be had. And I think that's what politicians need to really understand, that cultural communities, diverse communities are very robust, resilient communities that have gone through a lot of experiences. Their young 7-year-old has something to say, just like their 66-year-old.
Yes.
We want to make sure that connection is strong and kept strong. Don't detach from that.
Ronna, we could continue this discussion forever. But the clock is ticking. So thank you, Peter, Shaaru, Mehdi, and Turkan for joining us today.
And thank you again, Peter and Mehdi, for taking the lead, organising and making sure this...
Oh, it's all Mehdi.
So till next fortnight, let's continue to inspire, empower and connect. And remember,
Your voice matters.